sorry. I need to tell y'all about the terrible, awful I done to me.
The fans.
Eat my...
Bad games.
What'd you say? I said eat my...
Lack of effort.
Have you lost your mind? No, ma'am. But you about to. Because you just...
Heard that Gen 4 remakes are being made. Bad games. What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to another rant video. I know I don't do these very often, but you guys seem to really like them, and today's topic is really important and really pertinent to this channel specifically, and it has to do with the battle timer. It's something that really affects us as a channel, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit and kind of what we as a community could do about it, possibly. I just wanted to talk through that, and I want to get your feedback in the comments as well. So make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We are on the road to 200 subs by the end of the year, and I will need your help to get there. Also, make sure to hit that bell once you do so that you get notified of all of my uploads. And then, of course, share. We really need word of mouth because the YouTube algorithm really doesn't help us out when we're still this small, and so all of your support is super appreciated. And right now, 69% of our viewers are not subscribed, so please don't be part of that. Just help us to get that percentage down. I know it's nice and everything, but let's try to get that percentage down so that we can all just be one big happy community. We've got some awesome stuff coming up for the channel that I'm not going to announce just yet, but there's some awesome stuff in the pipeline, and I think that you guys will really enjoy that. Also, make sure to leave me a comment down below letting me know your opinions on what I'm going to discuss in today's video. So make sure you watch it all the way to the end so that you can properly give that opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So here recently, Pokegame MD, I don't know if you know who that is, but he is an absolutely amazing Pokemon YouTuber. He put together a video where he compiled videos from a bunch of different content creators in the space, and they talked about the battle timer. And to me, it's a lot more pertinent to me as a channel than it really is to them, because I still post Wi-Fi battles on my channel even with this restriction, whereas none of them do. Now obviously they don't post them because of the timer, but I post them anyway because I just kind of try to make it work as best I can. But I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Now, a lot of my battles do go to timer. You'll see the one from this past Wednesday did go to timer. That one will be up in the iCard above, of course. And you know, it happens all the time, actually. It is very common, and there's a lot of matches that I actually have to just throw out. There are a lot of matches that I go through that are really good matches, and at the end of 20 minutes we don't really have a definitive winner. It's very much a 50-50, or it's not even close to being able to call, and so I just end up having to throw all of that out. That wastes computer space, that wastes my time, that wastes all kinds of stuff, and it would have been all fixed if we had a longer timer. More competitive players would be playing these Wi-Fi battles, and so it would be a lot easier for me to find higher level players on this space as far as playing Wi-Fi battles against random people. Obviously, when I play against viewers, it's a little bit better because you all at least know somewhat what you're doing. But typically when I'm playing against just randoms, it's a lot of Ubers and then just random stuff, and it's just really difficult to find good matches for you guys on Wi-Fi Wednesdays when that's all I'm facing. So it really would help the channel out if this happened. It also would allow me to explain better what I'm doing during the battles. I find myself a lot of times rushing through trying to make these decisions, not really being able to explain what I am doing. I'm just kind of, okay, hurry up and press this button so that I don't lose out on time, because that 20-minute timer is always running. That doesn't matter if you are Dynamaxing, that doesn't matter if your move animation takes 10 seconds, that doesn't matter anything. It is constantly running, and when 20 minutes is up, you're done. That's it, the battle's over. A lot of times the battle isn't actually over. There are a lot of battles where I am in the middle of a sweep at the very end of what would be the battle, but because I don't have that last little bit, my mons are on lower HP, but given 3 or 4 more turns, I would just OHKO the rest of the team. I get given a loss on that. Now, obviously we can say, you know, I would have won that, but it's nowhere near as satisfying when the opponent still has 3 or 4 mons sitting in the back that I'm just waiting to knock out. All I have to do is click the button, but yet we run out of the 20-minute timer. It also creates the stall meta game. Just like in this past Wi-Fi battle, we faced stall. Stall is extremely popular on Wi-Fi because all you have to do is just have more health than your opponent at the end of the battle. Luckily, we were able to break through it this past week, but that's not always the case, just depending on what the opponent brings. It just makes it very, very difficult for me as a singles battler to show you quality content on Wi-Fi battles, because I really enjoy Wi-Fi battles. I think they're great. I want to be able to show those animations off to you, but I also don't want to be held back by the timer. It makes it really difficult to really do that. Now in VGC, it's really not that big of a deal. In VGC, I've never gone to timer, not even once. And their timer is obviously a little bit different. You know, you've got your time as well as an overall clock, but typically VGC games don't go that long unless you get into an absolute stall fest, but that is very, very rare. You hardly ever do that, and I've always finished all of my battles. I haven't had a single battle go to timer in VGC, so unfortunately, it seems to be just a singles thing, and it's hard because when you're playing online, you also can't turn off animations. So even if you and your opponent were to turn off animations, which just takes down the production value, then you still can't do that. That option isn't there. Now, last generation, we had a 60-minute timer, and that was fine. I did still go to timer a couple of times in a 60-minute timer. I brought some stall stuff. Yeah, back in the day, bringing the, let me know if you remember this meta, the Whirlpool Latios meta. Yeah, that was something that I took place in a little bit. I'm not proud of it, but that's something that I did. And it was interesting. But typically, if it was 60 minutes, you had plenty of time. Even with Z moves taking forever, even with Mega Evolution taking a while to happen, even with all of that stuff, it did not matter. I finished, 99.999% of my battles. And so you had a defined winner at the very end. It didn't matter. You both could play out to your outs. You could both play full games. It was no problem at all. Now, you can't do that. I mean, the thing is, even if it was just a chess timer right now and just no overall timer, and each player has X amount of time, that would still be fine. Give both of us 20-minute timers. That would be totally fine. You give everybody a minute and you give a 20-minute timer for total your time. I think that would be absolutely fine. And I guess the biggest reason why I have an issue with this is that the functionality I just mentioned of having just your time and no overall timer, it's already in the game. If you play in LAN mode, which I'm guessing very, very few of you have played in LAN mode, but if you play in LAN mode, you can turn off the overall timer. You can actually make it to where it is just a chess timer and that's it. And it makes it super helpful when it comes to that. Now, you can only go up to, I believe, 10 minutes on LAN, and so sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes people run out of time, and I don't want anybody to ever win or lose based on time. I think that that's absolutely terrible. I want to always be able to win or lose based on 6 knockouts, and that's it. That's what I want to do. Chess time just makes sure that things are happening in a somewhat timely manner, but I would much prefer to have no timer at all and just keep, every move has to be made in a minute or even less. or you get chosen a random move, because if you get chosen a random move, you're obviously going to lose if you start trying to do that. So you can't really timer stall. Timer stall meta is not good. It is not healthy for battling because it just encourages stall, and I don't like it. I think it's rough. So a lot of us have been talking about this for a long time because this has been in the game since the beginning, right? The game is just over a year old, and yet nothing has happened, and yet we've been talking about it since day one. People have been upset about it. So why has nothing happened? Well, let me give you an example of what it's like to actually support your game and what it's like to not. So I'm going to look at 2 examples today, okay? We're going to compare Pokemon games to a game called Rainbow Six Siege. Now, if you've never seen Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Siege is a first-person shooter. It is a game that I personally play. I really, really like the game. It is basically the only first-person shooter that I play. I'm usually not a fan of them, but I really love Siege. It's a tactical first-person shooter. There's a steep learning curve to it, but once you learn it, it's a lot of fun. I really, really like it. Siege turns 5 years old on Tuesday. I don't know if anybody realizes that, but it turns 5 years old on Tuesday. It's a AAA title that is 5 years old that is still growing. How is this possible? The reason that this is possible is because Ubisoft. Ubisoft is who created this game, and it's because they are constantly monitoring the game, they are constantly taking feedback from the community, everything like that. So we have technical test server. This allows the players to be able to try out things before it goes live in the actual game. So right now there's a new operator that everyone is trying out, and then they will put that into the actual game once they find some bugs and everything and fix those. Anytime there's a rework to an operator, they try it out in the test server just to see what everybody thinks, to see if it's too good, see if it's too bad, anything like that. They get to test that out. They get to take out as many bugs as people can find before it makes it into the actual game, rather than just straight releasing it and just kind of being like, oh, well, there it is. And even then, once everything is out there, there is still a subreddit and their Twitter in which they are constantly monitoring these things so that if a bug comes up on the live build, they are there saying, okay, we hear you, we're working on it, we're gonna look at it. And sometimes these bugs take a long time to fix. Sometimes these bugs take months to fix. You know, some of this stuff is very complex. I'm not a computer science person. I don't know how long it takes to fix these things, but some things can take a very long time. But you know what they do? They communicate with the community. They say, look, we know about this glitch. Right now there is a glitch with an operator that is a very important glitch. It is extremely overpowered to this operator, and it is not intended. They put out a message and said, hey, we know this is out there. It is not intended. It's going to take a while to fix it. You know what? I'm good with that. I'm good with them saying, look, we know there's a bug out there. We can't fix it right now, but we're working on it. I'm totally fine with that. As long as they know about it and they let us know as a community that they are working on it and that it is a thing that is a priority for them, I'm fine with it because I know that it will be fixed very, very soon. You know, it may take a month or two, but they know about it. They're aware of it. They're working on it, and that's fine. Especially during quarantine and all of this stuff that's going on right now, it's going to take a little longer than normal too. So it's okay as long as they're communicating with us. Nintendo though. Nintendo hardly ever patches their games, and even when they patch games, they really don't even provide us with patch notes. Now, this doesn't apply to Smash Bros. Because, you know, they put out patch notes of stuff of what they've changed, but everything else you can get on social media and say things to them. You can make a YouTube video and say things to them. They don't care. It doesn't matter. This YouTube video is not going to make any difference as far as what Nintendo does about it, and neither is PokeMMD's. They are not going to make a difference in the community. It's going to fall on deaf ears like it always does. So, what do we do about it? What do we do about it, right? As a community, I think that we have really been disappointed in the Pokemon games ever since Generation 6. And obviously the argument can be made, yes, it's a children's game. I don't really care. It's a game that I've been playing for a really long time, and I have a real passion for playing it. It's why I make YouTube videos about it. It's why I stream with you all. It's why I want to build a community based around it, based on a lot of people's love for this community. But I think that the love for the community is kind of what is also spurring the problem, right? Because Pokemon is the second best selling video game franchise right now, like ever. Mario being the first. And it's extremely recognizable. Even if you don't play the games, you know what a Pikachu is, right? Everybody knows what that is. And so it's an extremely recognizable brand. It's an extremely, it's very important culturally, right? So because of this, Game Freak can really just kind of do what they want, right? They have the power to make as good or bad of a game as they want, and people are going to pay for it. People are going to buy it. And that's kind of what I was meaning by my intro here. You know, everybody just buys the games anyway, and they don't really check for the quality beforehand. But the thing is, this doesn't happen with other franchises with Nintendo, right? Look at Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 was being made and was quite far into production when one day we get a video from Nintendo saying, hey, we're scrapping everything that they did and we're starting over with a new company because we didn't like what it was. Why did this happen with Metroid? Because Metroid is in hot water. After they made Metroid Other M, it didn't do well, right? Nobody really bought it. Now, I'm not in that club. I bought it because, you know, I really like Metroid, and so I'm part of the problem too. But it wasn't a good game. And so a lot of people stepped away from the series. A lot of people weren't really looking forward to the next game. But when they announced Prime 4 saying that they're going to not take this weird approach that Other M did and shake it up so much, they're going to come back to their roots, come back to what made Metroid such a good series, everyone is excited. But they weren't happy with the results, and they don't want to kill that franchise. And so they redid it. They're working with another studio now, which is absolutely great. I'm willing to wait a couple more years if that means that we're going to get a quality addition to the franchise. But in Pokemon world, it doesn't matter. We see the trailers and we see the animations are bad. We see the graphics are rough. We see anything like that. And people who are influencers in the space, they're going to buy the game regardless. Why? Because it's what builds their platform. It's what makes them money. These games are what make these people money. And, you know, eventually I would love to be one of those people too, where I can make money off of this game. But the thing is, when we do that, we're also furthering the problem. Even if we complain about it on stream, even if we complain about it in a video, it doesn't matter. Because we are speaking with our wallets, and that's all Nintendo cares about. Nintendo looks at the numbers. That's why Other M spoke to them. That's why the Metroid, they decided to scrap it. They said, well, look, we've got to actually make a quality game now. We can't just make this weird thing that nobody liked, because they're not going to buy it. If Nintendo loses profit share on these things, then Nintendo is going to say, hey, Game Freak, maybe you should make a better game. Until then, it doesn't matter. And so that's why I'm kind of thinking, you know, it's us that are kind of the problem by buying these games, by furthering the games. Am I going to stop playing it? No. Am I being a hypocrite for saying this? Probably. But the thing is, when we decide to speak with our wallets rather than our mouths, that's when Nintendo is going to notice. And it's sad that it's gotten that way, but it is just that popular that is just kind of the way it is. They're not fighting to survive. They can do what they want, and they're going to continue doing what they want. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'd love to start a conversation with you about all of this. Let me know how long you've been playing the games. Let me know what you think was the breaking point as far as like when the game started to turn a little bit sour, right? I think the general consensus is Generation 6, but some people make a argument for Generation 5. I'm personally on the Generation 6 side. But yeah, let me know how long you've been playing, when you think everything kind of went awry. I would love to know your thoughts. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Hope you ate all of the turkey and all of that good stuff, and I hope you are looking forward to Christmas. I know that I am, and I'm very excited for what December has for the channel, and of course the new year as well. I'm really hoping to get to 200 subs by the new year, and I'm working on some really awesome things for the channel. And again, I'm not gonna spoil what they are just yet, but there's some really awesome things that I've been working really hard on behind the scenes, and I can't reveal them just yet, but I'm going to, hopefully, once we reach 200 subs. So please help me get there. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you stay safe out there, stay healthy during the holiday season, all that good stuff. And so we will see you on Sunday for another shiny stream. Until then, bye-bye.